a good mare, all right. At the final flight, Honeysuckle, Rachel Blackmore over 6 in front. Honeysuckle Racing's new first lady. Honeysuckle is in front. She's trying to fend off the challenge, and she's done it. Honeysuckle remains unbeaten. Honeysuckle and Rachel Blackmore, 2 stars aligned.
Well, welcome back. And as I said before the break, I'm delighted to be joined by the man who is lucky enough, and I know he knows he's lucky enough to own not just Honeysuckle, but a whole raft of really, really talented race mares. Kenny Alexander. Kenny, good morning.
How you doing? How you doing?
I'm very well. Thanks for joining us this morning. How are you feeling just 2 days out until her big day?
Yeah, I'm pretty pumped up for it now. I'm pretty pumped up for it. I mean, I'd always be pumped up because I think it's the best week of the year. Cheltenham racing, the festival, but particularly this year, and particularly the big one on Tuesday. So yeah, very, very excited. Really looking forward to it. And yeah, pretty confident. Yeah, very excited. You know, it's just lucky to have a horse as good as that and a chances of going into the Champion Hurdle as favourites. So if you can't enjoy it, you know, you shouldn't really own horses, I don't think, if you can't enjoy this sort of occasion.
What has filled you with confidence? Obviously, she's a brilliant mare. She's an unbeaten mare. But what's been filling you with confidence these last few weeks?
I think back to that. I think she's never been beaten. You know, I think she's never been beaten, and that obviously fills you with confidence. I think the last run was spectacular. Although there's a few horses there, a few that didn't quite turn up. Run to form, which will probably run materially better on Tuesday, I suspect. Particularly Sharjah, I fear. But you know, Henry seems Henry seems quite confident. Has been confident over the last, really since the season. He's always fairly cautious, but he's been confident. He seems very confident in her. And as I say, she just keeps winning. And look, I'm not. What is she, 94? So the bookmakers, who normally are pretty much close to the mark, she got 30% chance, they think, of winning. That does mean she's got 70% chance of losing. But no, look, I wouldn't want to wish to win any other horse in the race. I think she's favourite. She probably should be, but it is going to be a huge battle to win the race. And irrespective of what happens on Tuesday, she's been a brilliant mare to win. And as you said at the start, I've been very, very lucky to have her. And whatever happens on Tuesday, it's been a brilliant journey.
It has. It's been a phenomenal journey, and she's an incredibly popular mare as well. You talked about percentage chances there, Kenny, and the likely odds that she would go off. If there's two things you're very well qualified to talk about, it's horse racing and a facility for numbers, because you are the man who, accountant by background, took GVC holdings from a worth of 26 million to 4.5 billion until you stepped down midway through last year. Just tell us when horse racing became a driving passion for you.
I think probably around, 12, 13 year olds. So I was taken to the races with my father, very young. I can't remember how young. I don't know, maybe 8, 9 or something like that, to air races primarily, occasionally to Hamilton. But I didn't really enjoy it really, because I prefer football really, or going to the football. And then when you get to sort of 12, 13, and your dad starts putting a few bets on for you, and you start trying to pick the winners out, then you begin to get hooked on it. And then you're just even by that age, at 13, you're just trying to pick the winners out in the paper every day. You're watching the race, and with my dad, when he was massively into it. And then it just goes from there. You're occasionally nipping off from school to go to your races to watch it. When you're at university, I was spending virtually most of my time in the bookies watching the racing, and then it just goes from there. I mean, I don't come from a horse racing background, but I love the animals, and I love to have a bet, and I love going to the racing. I think it's and next week is the best. I've been fortunate enough to go to quite a few sporting events around the world, all sort of different sports. I think next week is the best sporting event in the world as far as I'm concerned. So, and I love racing, so it doesn't get any better, really.
So what makes it so good for you? What makes the Cheltenham Festival specifically? Obviously next week's going to be different with no crowd and whatnot, but what makes that stand out from all the others you've been to?
I think the crowd is obviously, particularly that first day, the first race, the first day, and the roar. But I think it's really just the horses, to be honest with you, because you get all the bet. I mean, though I love racing, it's really national hunt is for me. I can, flat racing is fine, and I watch it and I enjoy it, but I can't sort of take it or leave it really. The jump racing is what really gets me revved up, and at Cheltenham you have all the top horses from the UK and Ireland all coming together, and it's just an absolute, it's just seen the very, very best horses going battling out against each other, and the very best jockeys over 4 days, and it's just the quality of the racing is fantastic. And even though there's no crowds this week, which is obviously disappointing, I still think it's going to be an absolutely fantastic festival. I think it's going to be a fantastic festival with some great horses there, and some up and coming ones that are potential superstars over the next few years. So yeah, it doesn't get any better than next week. And I can't wait, really.
Kenny, you're one of the like many of us, fortunate enough that your professional world and your personal love, your personal passion managed to collide. I mean, it took a little while for them to collide, but were you kind of trying to engineer that right from university days? Did you sort of want to work in the gambling sector or the racing sector if you could get it in somewhere?
Yeah. I mean, I trained as an accountant, and let me tell you, working in an online bookmakers is a damn sight more exciting than doing audits. I can tell you that. But yeah, I mean, look, it was pure luck that I got into online bookmaking. Really, it was quite a long time ago, the year 2000. I joined at Sport and Bet. Mark Blanford, who's also who also owns a few horses, took me over to the Channel Islands, and I got into it, and it was just great. It was great fun, It was great fun. The accounting was, I was always there as an accountant, but then I got more into the operational side of it, and ended up doing that for 6 years, and then joining GDC and doing that for I don't know, 13 years, 14 years, and then deciding that I don't want to do anymore. And so I was very fortunate to be able to combine and working in an industry where it's really great fun, because it's sports, and obviously I love all sport really, but obviously racing's that is a sport I love. So it's as I say, it was a lot more fun in the last 20 years working than it was the first 5 or 6 years working in the accounting industry. I can tell you that.
And so why did you decide to just say, I don't really want to do this anymore? Because you've had such a successful career, and now obviously you're very financially comfortable, that's clear, but then so are a lot of people, but they just keep carrying on and getting more and more financially comfortable. What was it for you that made you think, yeah, I just want to try doing something different now?
Well, I'm in Scotland at the moment, and this is where my family have been for the whole time that I have. So when I went to the Channel Islands to get into online gaming, that was the year 2000. I did the commute, come back every Friday and go back down every Monday. Did it for 20 years, and that is far too long. Your family's in Scotland and you're down in London or latterly, or Channel Islands at the start, but that was only for a couple of years. And then the rest of the time I was just in London, and you're traveling around the world. And at the end of the day, yeah, I did okay financially. But my daughters have gone off to university. My wife's up here, and there's no way that she was going to be staying in Scotland Monday to Friday, and I was down in London during the week. You only need so much money, and life's too short. And I was always going to be coming back home around about this time, and I did it. Lockdown sort of just brought it to a head, and since I've done it, I haven't regretted it for one moment. I have not regretted it for one moment. I've done it. I did 20 years. It was a long old slog. It was fun. I mean, it was fun. And I did well, and the companies did very well. But you get to the point where you want to come home, and you don't want to do it anymore, and you just want to do other things. So even though it's been locked down since I've been home, as I say, I've loved it. I much prefer to be in Scotland and at home, closer to my family, with my wife in particular, than being stuck down in London. And I might earn less money, but I'm definitely enjoying myself more. So there's a long explanation. But I've been fortunate. I had the money. I've got a few. I made some money that I can afford just to be a man of leisure now.
Clearly, it's a lovely position to be in. Everything I've ever read about you and your business career, though, suggests that you are energetic, swashbuckling. These are the sort of adjectives that always get used to describe you. That you were always looking for the next step. You weren't ever satisfied just to leave it at that. How do you replace that sense of that sort of energy and activity? How do you replace that, or do you need to replace it? Have you done enough?
I don't think I look particularly swashbuckling at the moment, I have to say, lying on the couch. But no, you're right. I was very ambitious, very aggressive. Work-wise, and we did very, very well. I had some very, very good people with me and helped me along the way. And I, quite frankly, I decided I'd done it. I didn't think there was much more I had to do. And as I say, family-wise, and just decided I want to come back home. How do you replace it? I think the horses does help, because I think I'm ambitious to do well in the racing, and I've sort of tried to surround myself with very good people. I've got Pierre Maloney helping me. He's done very well for me, and I've got some very good trainers doing well for me. So that gives me a lot of satisfaction, and but yeah, I mean, and I've got a few other things. I play golf, but I mean, I've got a few other things, that interest me up here. So I'm not bored, or whatever I try to do, I try to win, and I've got enough to keep me occupied and enough to keep me driven and to win and be successful in whatever I do. And the horse racing is, so far, it's going very well. And
what I find quite fascinating is the way that you've gone into the game in the last 3 or 4 years with the buying up of the mares, and with the assistance of Peter Maloney trying to build up this band of horses, having them trained mainly in Ireland, though I know you've had good and successful associations here with Lucinda Russell and David Pipe and others. What prompted that way of doing it?
Look, I have most of them in Ireland. Look, I listened to Pierre Maloney. I decided I would start investing a bit more in the horses. And I've spent. And his suggestion was that if you're spending good money, you need to send them to the best trainers. And I'm not saying. And he recommended that I have a few horses in Ireland. So when I started spending decent amounts of money, I spread them around a few of the Irish trainers. The first, I got them with Willie Mullins. Obviously got a few with, I've got quite a few with Henry de Bromhead, and I've got some with Gordon Elliott. And he said, look, if you want to be successful, you've got to send them to the best trainers, and so he recommended sending those 3. But also I've got some in the UK as well. Horses with Lucinda, Nicky Henderson, and David Pipe, and so I spread them around. But most of them at the moment are in Ireland, and quite frankly, you will send the horses to where you're going to get the most success. And when I started, like, if I had started off in Ireland and then you get no success, I probably wouldn't be persevering with it. But when we decided that we would start sending a few to Ireland or buy a few in Ireland, and then you get success, and it just snowballs. You decide, right, it's working well. I'm getting success. I'm enjoying it, and then you just keep doing it. And therefore, that's why so far I've ended up with quite a lot in Ireland. And in general, I bought a few bad ones, I have to say, but in general, we've had success. We've had quite a success, and hopefully it can continue.
And you did a lovely interview in the Racing Post this week with Bill Barber. And you were saying that the purchase of Honeysuckle was, well, not exactly a premeditated.
No. Well, yeah, a few beers. Well, I must admit, when you get a few drinks in you sort of, it helps you forget how much the thing cost. It does get you a bit revved up, I must admit that day I remember turning up at Punchestown. I'm not even sure the horse was ever mentioned to me before we turned up. But you turn up, Henry's there, you're taken into, I think it was a Goffs, I think it was who does the sales there, and you're showing it and you think, I think I'm going to end up buying this horse. And I said, after you have a few beers and the Punchestown racing, which is another, I'd recommend it to anyone. That's a great festival as well to get over to. I think by about the 4th or 5th race that day, I thought, I'm going to be bidding for this thing, and thankfully we bought it. And she cost a few quid, but these good horses do cost a lot of money. She was, I haven't regretted it for a minute. She's been a great buy, and magnificently trained by Henry, a training masterclass, I'd say, to keep this mare sound and improving all the time, and the 10 wins and 6 grade ones, and obviously ridden by Rachel, who gets on fabulous with the horse, and is who's the top of her profession, and deserves everything she's getting as far as I'm concerned, and hopefully she's a good week next week.
Do you think it's quite significant, the fact that we're barely mentioning the fact that she could very easily win the Champion Hurdle and the Gold Cup and a glut of other races? It's barely had a mention in the last 2 weeks is a sign of how far our own mentality has come as regards assessing the strength of, and I don't mean this in a physical sense, I mean the prowess of female jockeys relative to male jockeys.
Yeah, I don't think I don't think even people even mention that she's a female jockey.
Exactly.
She is, without any doubt, top class, absolutely top class. I watch a lot of racing, but she's had some of the rides that she's given Honeysuckle, absolutely fantastic, particularly last year to win the mares race. I think if she had got that even slightly wrong, I don't think we would have won. So I think the jockey that day made a huge difference. She's rode some other great races, but not just in Honeysuckle. I mean, she likes loads of top quality horses. She's a top jockey, and I don't claim to know her particularly well. I met her a couple of times when she jumped off a winner, and I've spoken to her a few times when she's ridden a winner. But I don't think she doesn't come from a big racing background. She's had to do it the hard way, as far as I'm aware. And she's a great example to anyone doing anything there. If you've got enough drive and guts and determination, obviously the ability, you need the rest, you can get to the very top, and she has managed to do it. And she's a very nice person as well. She's very, very nice person, and she deserves all the success she's getting. And hopefully next week, she has a great week. I think she might, and if it's not Honeysuckle, I hope she wins the Gold Cup. She might well do that. She might well do both. But yeah, she's a great asset for the sport as well. Great asset for the sport as far as well.
Kenny, how big could the Kenny Alexander ownership experience get? Because, as I said, you strike me as a kind of total immersion kind of guy. It's not, you don't want to do things half-heartedly. Anything you're going to do and give it full welly.
Yeah, look, I don't want to go skin, put it that way. No, I love the sport. I would turn up at, racing if air races were on tomorrow and I could go, and I didn't have a runner and it was average national hunt racing. I would definitely get in the car and get down there. So I love it. I own these mares if they're good enough, and I've got the stud, and I have been breeding them for quite some time, and there's quite a few coming through, and a lot of the ones that are in training now, if they're good enough, obviously Honeysuckle's one, and I will breed from. So yeah, I'm in it for the long term, and I'm breeding from good mares to hopefully the best stallions, and hopefully I get lucky, and I want to and try to be as successful as I can, and the main thing is just have as much fun as I can as well. That's the main thing. So yeah, look, I'm not going to be in the same league as JP McManus or whoever, but yeah, you'll see my horses. I love the sport. You'll see my colours for hopefully many years to come, and you'll see some of my homebreds, and yeah, I'm giving it a good crack, and I'm enjoying it, and hopefully I won't go skin, and hopefully I'll have plenty of fun. That's the main thing. So yeah, I mean it's a great sport. They're great horses, great occasions. Yeah, you'll see me around for hopefully for the next few years, for many years, as long as I'm breathing, I'll own horses. So and see, hopefully it'll work out well.
And obviously you're perfectly positioned to sort of judge the health of the sport, really, as a prominent owner, now a significant breeder, and someone who's been at the absolute forefront of the mushrooming online gambling industry for the last 2 decades. There's been an awful lot of angst on this programme and elsewhere over the last 3 months about where racing is placed given the likely sanctions that might be brought forward as part of the gambling review. Do you look on that with grave concern, or can you provide us with a bit more optimism?
Unfortunately, I don't think I can give you any optimism. It'd be false. I would be, look, horse racing is still very, very important. There's no doubt about it. If you look at what the bookmaking firms are, their adverts, particularly about now, a lot about Cheltenham. Racing's still very important. Obviously, there's so much you can bet on now, and there's all the in-play betting and everything else, and it's very much global businesses now, not so much UK centric. But racing is still very, very, very important. To cut to the chase, you're obviously talking about the review of the gambling bill or affordability. I would be very concerned about that. I mean, I've been concerned about that for a good few years. I mean, there's a lot more been discussed about it now, but the train left the station a long time ago on this sort of affordability point. And racing, who will face the brunt of it if it goes through as bad as it could be in terms of some of these affordability. It's totally justified. I'd be very, very concerned, and I couldn't give you any optimism to say no, it's not going to happen. I'm not part of it anymore, but I'd be very concerned. I really would be. I really would be. That one, it will happen, and two, that the financial implications are dire for the racing industry. So I'd love to cheer you up this morning, but unfortunately I can't. But you know what? The good thing is that the gambling companies have done enormous amount of work in looking after these vulnerable players. They've been doing it for quite some time. They're very sophisticated at it now, and I think it certainly was when I was at GVC or Entain, whatever it's called now. But it's really at the forefront of what they do in terms of being responsible, looking after these players, making sure people do not get into trouble, and not just at that company. They all do it. And I've been out of it for 6-7 months. I'm sure that they're even more advanced. So they I don't think there's no way that it needs to, these sort of affordability tests, which I think are a complete breach of civil liberties, quite frankly. And there's a lot of other things that damage you. We don't get asked to can afford to spend £100 on various things. But whether it happens, I'd be very concerned. I don't think it requires it. And if it happens, I don't think it'll be good. It's not going to be good. But I'm only telling you as I see it. But the lobbying that the industry's doing, I think that the BGC, I think the people that run that are quite a bit of time for them. I think that hopefully they're going to do a good job, and hopefully sense will prevail, because they have to win it. Because if they don't, it's pretty desperate, unfortunately.
Kenny, just to finish off, on Tuesday, and obviously the sadness is that you're not going to be able to be at Cheltenham to witness it. If Honeysuckle were to bound up that hill and win the Champion Hurdle, just try and sum up in words the significance of that for you, and take yourself back to the 11 and 12-year-old boy who was taken to air races by his dad.
It'd be a dream. It'd be an absolute dream if it could happen. I've been at Cheltenham. I've watched these mares like Cabega, Apples Jade, Annie Power, obviously, Room Mag, Benedict Dew. These are mares that I thought, it'd be amazing if I could just win a mare even close to it. It would be a lifetime ambition if she could do it. It'd be an absolute dream come true if she could do it. I'd just be, I can't even tell you how it would feel like. It'd just be amazing if she could do it. It'd be amazing. And I think she's justified to be the favourite. But even if she doesn't, she's been a brilliant mare for me. And let's hope she can do it, and let's hope she's safe and sound at the end of it. That's the main thing. And let's see. Yeah.
Kenny, thank you so much for your time this morning. I really appreciate it. Wishing you all the very best.
Yeah, okay. All the best. Have a good one.
Subscribe to Racing TV to be notified when more Luck on Sunday videos are appearing online. And don't forget to join me for the show every Sunday morning from 9 o'clock with the best guests.